From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxbys
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
And there's nowhere I'd rather be than back home in Omaha.
Wake up! What up, everybody? I'm Aslan. Corey's here. It's Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxbys. I'm not in Omaha yet. Corey's out in Omaha. I should be there by the time you're listening to this, maybe. Or at least I'm on my way there. Corey, what's it like out there? How's the oxygen? Tell me all about it.
It's really pretty, Aslan. Not at all hot and humid. Actually, it's not that humid. It's hot because it's Omaha. It's it's the middle America in the middle of June. So it's really hot, but it's festive.
Nice.
You're gonna like that. There's a lot of energy around the ballpark. There's a lot of energy amongst Florida State fans, as you can probably imagine. It's a beautiful country out here. Beautiful I can't wait to see you. And Brady definitely can't wait to see you. He's fired up that the Godfather's coming.
Likewise, friend. Likewise. We're going to make this show somewhat quick because I'm starving. And as we record this, it's Sunday. And as we all know, Sundays are meant for Zaxbys. Actually, low-key, one of the best parts of Zaxbys, Corey.
Let's hear it.
They've got what they call the freestyle machine, which is you can make your custom soda pop or whatever you want to call it, your custom Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. I know you're a Georgia guy. You're an Atlanta guy. I'll keep it on brand. So you can mix all your different flavors. But that freestyle machine also spits out ice. But Zaxby's also has like a second ice machine, at least the one off Monroe Street in Tallahassee does, the one that I go to. And it's got crushed ice, but like perfectly crushed ice. Like there's little elves back there.
Yeah, the people that know what you're talking about, the people that know what you're talking about with that ice, they know what you're talking about. Now, look, there's a lot of good food at Zaxby's.
Of course.
We're not going to just sit here and pimp the ice. That's not what Zaxby's about. But that's an added bonus, an added perk. Yes. Is they got perfect ice. You know those restaurants we're talking about, folks. Yeah. The crushed up is just perfect. Yeah. And Zaxby's one of them. Aslan, I didn't know you were going to talk about that. We didn't rehearse this, but I'm 100% on board with that.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, nothing on here is rehearsed. We shoot it all from the hip. But yeah, I mean, basically, like as you said, Zaxby's has got great food, so they're like multifaceted. They're multi-tool, almost like J.C. Flowers. They're like the J.C. Flowers of dine-in restaurants. How about that guy? I don't know how much we're going to talk about the Michigan game, which is going to be later tonight as you're listening to this, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. How you getting acclimated to that big guy, the whole time change thing?
I'm doing all right with it.
Doing good?
My car, the car that we rented in Tallahassee is still set to Eastern Time, so I'm good with it.
I got to jump in here real quick. Corey rented a very nice minivan, and I don't want to say the brand of minivan because maybe at some point they're going to want to jump in here and get into a bidding war with Zaxby's to become our title sponsor. But It's a brand new minivan, 2018 at the latest, and it has a USB jack, and you can plug your phone into the console of that car or that minivan with a USB cable, but it doesn't recognize any phone. So you can't play your music. You can't stream anything. What about Bluetooth? Somebody's yelling right now. Hey, why don't you just use the Bluetooth? There's no Bluetooth. No Bluetooth.
Well, we did. Yeah, no Bluetooth. We did have a Bluetooth speaker, though. Thankfully, Stephanie had one of those. So that's how I had to listen to my podcast and my music is we put the Bluetooth speaker in between us in the console. Brady was in the back watching, I think he probably watched 9 movies on the way out there. That's how much time we had. So he's watching his movie, so we're just listening to my podcast or the music. But yeah, it's on a Bluetooth speaker because it won't go through the car stereo because apparently this van was made in 2009. They didn't even know that. They didn't even understand that technology could be available in a decade. Apparently.
Oh man, I think they actually even had.
But hey, you know what? We made it.
You did. We made it. Thank goodness. So Stephanie will tag out. I'll tag in to keep you company, keep you in line.
Yeah, that's perfect. She's leaving as you're. She'll be. I think her flight is like at 6 tonight, Monday night, and you'll be in around 1:30 or 2. I hope. I think so. Yeah, maybe you'll get to see her for a couple. I think we're going to go to the zoo.
Take it to the zoo
before the game tomorrow.
Nice.
Or today.
Fantastic. All right, so yeah, I don't know how much we're going to talk about Michigan. Obviously, what they've done to this point is extremely impressive, taking down a national seed to make it to Omaha and then quickly dispatching of another in their first game. But let's talk about the Arkansas game. I guess let's wrap that up a little bit. We're not going to keep this show. We're going to keep it tight. We're not going to go too long on this because I legitimately am hungry and I legitimately am going to Zaxbys for my dinner.
Get a brownie, too.
Okay.
The brownies are really good.
I don't know. I'm going to cheat really bad in Omaha, so I think I might
all right. Fair enough. I'll get a brownie for you. How about that?
All right. Very well. I mean, you wrote a fantastic column. Check it out. Go to warchant.com. Use the promo code warchant30. If you're a student at Florida State, email us, support@warchant.com from your student email address. 12 months of access for $12. And before you know it, you'll just realize, oh, I'm still paying for War Chant. You don't even care anymore because you realize how awesome the content is. Even the folks that are paying full freight. Corey did a really bang-up job writing about Drew Parrish and what he did. You know, we're wrong. I was wrong. I wanted to see C.J. Van Eyck start that game. Drew Parrish started. That first inning, I did not feel good at all. I know it was a 1-2-3 inning, but every one of those outs was tagged. Well placed, though, in terms of where the defense was lined up to make those line drive outs instead of line drive extra base hits. But what Drew Parrish did, we keep talking, and I'm the only guy that keeps bringing this up on poor Drew Parrish about what happened to him last season. I don't think that defines him at all. I just think it's such a crazy way for a season to end for someone who's such an important part of a team last season and this season. But we talk about the whole redemptive nature of this trip is for Mike Martin. Man, there's all a bunch of guys that can rewrite chapters and go out on certain high notes that will erase any sort of negative maybe bookmark they've got in their history book at Florida State. I mean, J.C. Flowers is another guy. I mean, he was, we mentioned he was an auto out practically in 2017 when they went to Omaha. And then on Saturday night, he's the human highlight reel. He's all over SportsCenter's top 10. I mean, it's crazy. So many things happened for Florida State to win that game that I didn't even really fully appreciate the fact that J.C. Flowers made that awesome catch in the second inning, wears one pitch, and then ultimately scores the game-winning run, and then promptly turns around and hustles his rear end to the bullpen, comes and throws a perfect, ninth inning to get the save. And then Drew Parrish, meanwhile, spins an absolute gem, 8 innings, shutout. The leadoff double has you feeling all sorts of anxiety, and here we go. This is how things end for this program, always it seems. But he throws just 2 absolutely wicked, I think, change-ups. I think got the out number 2 and 3 in the 8th inning. Just the pitching from Drew is what I'll remember most, and that was the first thing that jumped out on me. I almost forgot about JC, but we just kind of rattled off what he did. Absolutely amazing game. That's a really good Arkansas team. That ace showed you why he was a second-round pick, and somehow, some way, this team just finds ways to stay in games and pull them out. It's remarkable, man.
Yeah, it's and now they're in a spot where they have their best pitcher, and this is no disrespect to Michigan, but they have their best pitcher in a winner's bracket game against a Big Ten team for a chance to go 2-0 in their bracket, and advance to the whatever we call that the I don't know, the bracket finals. I don't know what you'd call that. What that would be on Friday, but it's remarkable where this team is because of where it was. And we just, again, we're not negative Nancy's. We're not Debbie Downers. This team just was not good. Parrish especially had an ERA over 5 coming into that game, pitching against a second-round pick who was, 12-1? And an ERA around 2, just a really, really good pitcher. And Parrish matched him 0 for 0. Actually went an inning longer.
Yep.
And when he gets out of that 8th inning, that's just, I was talking to Mike Martin Jr., sorry about it, after the game, and the play where Flowers kicks the ball out of the kid's glove or kicks the kid's glove, kid's glove flies off, which was crazy. That's the stuff that happens to Florida State, not for Florida State. The kid, Parrish has pitched a great game. He has a 1-2 count on the number 9 hitter, and he leaves a fastball right in the middle of the plate. The kid bloops it. He doesn't bloop it. I'm sorry. He hit that really well. But it falls 4 feet fair. If it's hit 4 feet to the left, it's an out. If it's hit 4 feet further right, it's foul. But it lands in a perfect spot for a double with the top of the order coming up. And you're like, that's it. That's a wrap.
Yep.
They're going to lose 1 or 2 to nothing. And he gets out of it by striking out their number 2 and number 3 hitters on just ridiculous changeups. The kid, he just pitched a masterful game. Just masterful.
Absolutely.
On the biggest stage when he absolutely had to. And also, almost as important is the defense. They made plays. Flowers made that great catch. They picked up every ground ball. DeSadas didn't make a very good. He made 2 bad throws. One that Mendoza picked for a double play. Another one that Carter Smith couldn't scoop.
Yeah.
That should have been a double play. But they still stopped everything and they made every play. The only error was a catcher's interference. That's it.
He actually had 2, but the other one I think.
Yeah, the other one was a hit, so they took the result of the play. Yeah, he's got to cut that out, man. Nelly, get the ball. Get your glove back. But also, Nelson was good behind the plate, and I think there was a spot. It might have been with that kid on third base where Parrish spiked one into the ground.
Yep.
It might have gone 56 feet. And that freshman stopped it with his chest, kept it in front, knocked it down the third baseline. Those are huge plays. And 11 was talking about that after the game when we asked him about what he said to Parrish when he went out there, runner on third with 1 out. And he said, trust your catcher. And he did. His catcher blocked. You can throw a hard breaking ball to this guy. He'll block it. And he did. Not trying to jinx Nelly moving forward, but just everything they did defensively, they look like a very, very good college baseball team, which I guess we have to say they are. I feel at some point maybe it's not a fluke anymore. What happened the first 50 games was a fluke, as weird as that sounds. But the way they're playing right now, as much as they believe in themselves and the way they're picking up the ball, if they can continue to do that, they need to score more than 1 run from here on out. But you got to figure the offense will manufacture some things. Oh, and I also wanted to say real quick, Nelson getting the bunt down. Man, that is not easy to do. No. Anybody that's listening to this that's played baseball, a kid throwing that hard, with that kind of breaking stuff, those things are hard to bunt. And he got it down. It wasn't a great bunt. It was right back to the pitcher, but it was good enough. And then DeSadas with the sac fly that wasn't hit all that hard or all that deep, but deep enough. They manufactured a run. They took advantage of a hit by pitch, a glove flying off a shortstop's hand, a bunt, and a sac fly, and they won the game. That stuff just doesn't happen for Florida State baseball out here. Ever. And now they beat one of the best teams in the country, and now they're 1 win away from being in real good shape.
Yeah, that play in the 8th, or no, the 9th. Sorry, with Flowers sliding in. I'm like, just play it straight up. I'm like, no hit and run. Just let him battle up there. And if it's not a hit and run, I mean, it's a double play. I mean, it should have been a double play even when it was a hit and run. But to your point, like the fortune for one time, it seems like tilted in Florida State's favor out there in Omaha. So that was crazy. Another thing that I think you pointed out in your column as well, that in the moment I don't think anybody realized, was the fact that Arkansas challenging JC's run, thinking that he left third too early, which I guess if you're Arkansas makes sense. It's a 1-0 game, try to get that run taken off the board. But the time that gave JC to get some legitimate warm-up done, or as much as you possibly can in such a condensed time frame, was crazy too. I mean, all these little things just kind of fell into place. I mean, Mike Salvatore double clutched the ball, but still got the out at first. I think maybe in the 7th. I don't know.
No, that was the 9th. That was the first out of the 9th. And again, when you talk about Florida State's luck out in Omaha, typically he bobbles that. It's the easiest play he's had all postseason. It's an easy throw, and for whatever reason, it felt like a ghost that's out here, that's just here to torment Florida State. Just knocks the ball out of his glove for no reason, and it's going to the ground. And if he doesn't catch it with his bare hand, which isn't easy to do once you've bobbled a ball, he catches it with his bare hand and still is able to whip a throw to first to get him out by a quarter step. If he bobbles it a second longer, or of course if it hits the ground, if he doesn't catch it cleanly after he bobbles it, that's a leadoff runner at first. And then who knows if the kid that hit a line drive to Carter Smith for the second out, well, if he's having to hold a runner on, that might have been a double into the corner. I mean, it's those little things that just don't ever happen for Florida State. That kid, he caught a ball. I mean, that's not easy to do, and he still made that throw. And I was watching that Arkansas kid when he hit it, the ground ball to Salvatore. He was kind of jogging a little bit once he saw him pick it up cleanly. Yeah.
They pointed that out on the
telecast. And then once he saw him bobble it, he sped up again. But by that time, Salvatore, if he'd have been running hard the whole time, he's safe. But again, like LSU guys, missing bases, not forgetting how to, what the rules of the sport are. that kind of stuff, Jen, again, it just doesn't typically happen for Florida State, and it's happened these last 3 games. I don't want to say that they didn't get any breaks really against Georgia. They just beat the tar out of them.
Yeah.
But they got a few breaks against LSU and Arkansas, and they took advantage, which is what good teams do. And now that this team has whatever they have, 42 wins, I guess we can say it's a pretty darn good team.
Yeah, I mean, it's baseball, right? I mean, baseball is those moments, and what team is going to figure out a way to hustle through and get safely to first. And I know you were actually at the game. I don't know how much of it you were able to look up. You actually made a nice little cameo, you, Stephanie, and Brady, which, by the way, everybody.
Nice. By the way.
Yeah, go ahead, clear it up.
I know it looks like I'm not high-fiving her.
All right.
Number one, I didn't see her. Also, I'm there in an official capacity. That's why I'm wearing blue. I can't be out there sporting garnet. I'm in the press box. I was just down there with them for a few innings, and she was getting the high five from Brady.
Yes,
which he did end up completing. It was a good high five, actually, if you see the replay. But yeah, how about that? Just randomly, the 3 of us are on national television. Good stuff. Brady's living it up out here. He's such a lucky kid. Not only does he get me as a dad, but then he gets to be in Omaha. He gets to be on national TV on ESPN. Give me a break.
Yeah, everybody wants him to stay out there. We got a lot of tweets saying you got to keep Brady out there as long as he wants to stay.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, he's here for the duration.
Good. But yeah, I don't know how much of the game you're actually able to watch, like from the press box or look at the replays that they're showing on ESPN. But back to the Salvatore play, the ball was in midair, and he as he was trying to transfer it out of his glove, and it was almost behind his hip. So it was a very awkward sort of nab it out of midair and try to get the throw off. Again, I mean, I don't want to say that one game erases all the misfortune that this program and this coach has had. And I don't know how much of it is good fortune or just, again, this team, for whatever reason, not being nervous, not thinking too highly of themselves, as Mike Martin's kind of pointed out. He said some comment I meant to circle in the post game, just kind of about, we've talked about this is really this team. It's going to be this team that's going to get this guy to Omaha in his last season, or maybe they're going to do something miraculous. He made some sort of comment about just the other teams that he's had, that they've known how good they are. They've been told how good they are. The MLB draft has indicated just how good they are. And they've had a couple of those guys. I mean, Drew got drafted in a nice spot. Mendoza, obviously, in a nice spot. Salvatore, JC. But otherwise, just a lot of sort of chip on their shoulder stuff that I think Ira wrote about before he made out there to Omaha, that they're not going to take anything for granted out there. Not even so much the result of a game, but just pitch by pitch. Again, it's just incredible that they were able to pull that out against a really good team. I mean, Arkansas, they had to replace a lot of guys, but they threw a second-round pick out there, and Florida State was able to tread water long enough and make them blink first. So here they are, 1-0, first time since 1999. They'll take on Michigan again, 7 o'clock Monday night. I don't know a lot about Michigan. What I do know probably is the same stuff most of you folks know, and Corey knows as well. The fact that they threw their number 2 guy. Basically, think about Florida State, instead of going to J.C. Flowers on Saturday, or let's say Drew lets that leadoff double in the 8th inning. Pretty much what Michigan did in their game was the equivalent of 11 having maybe gone to the bullpen and been like, give me C.J. Van Eyck. They went to their number 2 guy to get the last 6 outs of the game against Texas Tech. He threw 30-something pitches. So I think they're probably going to make him into some sort of quasi-mid-relief guy the rest of the way out there. Tommy Henry is our number 3 guy. He's a lefty. Florida State has not faced a lefty the entire tournament, the entire national tournament, that is. So he'll start against Florida State. But you're getting the number 3 guy of a Big Ten school in the 1-0 game, the winner's bracket game in Omaha. It feels like a good sign, but I don't want to overlook Michigan, because Texas Tech's a really good team, and they went to UCLA and took down the number 1 seed that had not lost a single series the entire season. But that does feel like some sort of maybe favorable set of circumstances for Florida State, that they face a number 3 guy. But if he has problems, I imagine they'll go that Criswell guy, and he looked quite impressive against a really good Texas Tech team.
Yeah, and Michigan's legit. Obviously, they're here, and they did what they did to UCLA, and then beat Texas Tech, and won their regional too. So they're obviously good. And quite frankly, Florida State isn't good enough to overlook anyone. I mean, I know how they're playing now, but they can't ever start feeling too good about themselves. And that's what I wonder when you talk about a mindset or the way an outlook. So again, the first game they had a guy on the mound that had an ERA over 5, facing one of the best pitchers in the SEC in a second round pick, one of the best pitchers in the country in a second round pick. Nobody really expected him to win the game. They just didn't. Just like nobody expected him to win at LSU and nobody expected him to win at Georgia. Well, now for the first time this postseason, especially their own fans probably, and maybe themselves, they're going in there expecting to win. Like, we're the better team. I don't know if they've ever thought that. I don't know if they've really thought that in any of these other games. I think the mindset has always been, well, why not us? We're hot. Let's stay hot. So this will be a different mindset, I think, when you have Van Eyck on the mound against, like you said, the number 3 pitcher. But also, so number one, I think that Florida State can't afford to overlook anyone because, again, Michigan's out here. They're plenty good enough. And Michigan is just like Florida State. After you win at UCLA, after you beat a team, really should have won all 3 games.
Yeah.
They kind of blew the second game. They outplayed UCLA for 3 straight games.
Yep.
After you do that to the number 1 seed that hadn't lost a series all year, you probably think you're going to win the whole thing too. You probably think you're a team of destiny. So because they're one of the last 4 teams in too.
Yep.
And I think they had a walk-off in the Big Ten tournament that might have even gotten them into the tournament at all. So again, they're kind of in the same boat as Florida State, as like, hey, why not us? Nobody believes in us. We're a team of destiny. So they're both meeting each other. But also, this park just changes everything. It just does. It's not a real college baseball park.
Okay, park.
It's just hard to score a lot of runs. So
yeah.
It does. It's like back in the in the 90s when Florida State was awesome at football and teams would try to grow their grass as high as they could to try to even the playing field a little bit, or want to play them in the mud because the speed isn't as you can
neutralize.
It's the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Well, this park is an equalizer. It just is. I mean, it's different. You've seen these games. The Vanderbilt Louisville game was 3-1, and there was 1-0, and there was 5-3. So in the first 3 games in the College World Series, there were 13 runs scored total by 6 teams. It's just that every game is close. Every game probably will come down to those 1, 2, 3, 4 plays, like Salvatore being able to pick up that ball, DeSadas with the double play, Parrish getting out of that jam. It all comes back to that. That's you got to take advantage when you get runners in scoring position, when you get runners on base, and especially when you get extra base hits, because they just don't happen a lot out here. So that's what it all comes down to. If Florida State can get some extra base hits and pick up the ball, you like their chances because they got a really good guy on the mound. But then you got to assume Michigan's guy can pitch too because they're here.
Foul pole to foul pole, it just seems like a completely different sport almost out there, to your point about the ballpark. Now, I mean, I've been out there. I've seen it. I've seen guys take BP and just bemoan the fact that everything just dies in the wind up there and nothing goes out of the park, but just the width of the field. Like, I think Mendoza, maybe his first at-bat or his second at-bat, he fouled out, and the way he reacted to it was like, oh, that's going to go into foul territory. And it didn't. I mean, it was clearly like it was in fair territory. And the guy just squeezed it for a simple out. It just seems so huge out there, but for some reason, no one's finding gaps, which is a good thing. Hopefully some extra base hits will come Florida State's way in this one. Just looking at some of the numbers on Michigan, they're somewhat similar to Florida State. There's not a lot of difference in terms of slugging. Florida State obviously has had more home runs this season per game, but slugging-wise, Michigan is 43rd in the nation. Florida State is 34th. Defensively, everybody is better than Florida State because of the 50 fluke season that they went through that Corey pointed out.
Right.
But they got 4 guys that are hitting in 300 or above, and they got 4 guys that have got double-digit home runs, and they're kind of scattered throughout that lineup. So we'll see how it goes. Feel good about it, though. Fantastic. And you said it earlier this month when we were doing the shows that 1-0 is a great way to start, but it's not that much better than, you got to win the first 2, right? The first 2 is the real bonus. You won the first game, but now you're almost doubling down to a certain degree, which also, by the way, in terms of gambling parlance, Florida State actually right now, Corey, is the second best, or has the second best odds to win the national title behind only Vanderbilt, which is wild.
It is. I mean, I assume that's because
it's because they're 1-0.
that they won that first game, because I know they didn't 3 days ago.
Right. I'm sure if Mississippi State wins on Sunday night, which we're not doing the show right now as that game is being played, I'm sure if Mississippi State wins, they'll vault over Florida State. But it was kind of crazy to see ESPN pull it up there. And some folks, and listen, I don't want to get mad at the fans, and I'm not getting mad at the fans, but I feel like for whatever I look at the football team and people think I'm trying to find the negative in certain situations, man, there's some fans out there that just need to kind of let go and enjoy this moment. I saw so many threads about, ESPN.com's not featuring Florida State as a storyline, and I'm not seeing anything on ESPN about it. What? Like, what are you watching? Are you serious? Like, everybody at Bristol has embraced Mike Martin in Florida State. You got like Hannah Storm is talking about how great of a story this could be for Florida State on the Sunday morning edition of SportsCenter. Mike Martin, for the love of God, is voicing the open of every single College World Series game that's being played. Everybody realizes what's on the line for Florida State on this. I think Zubin Mehenti talked about it, referenced it on Friday night, that it's the greatest sports story that no one knows about, which you might find offensive because you guys think that ESPN's always taking shots at Florida State, but I think it's an endearing thing. Baseball tonight started off on things about Carl Ravitch said, this is Mike Martin's tournament, and then they go into talking about the bigs. It's awesome to see this program being showcased in a somewhat of a dubious distinction, but it's not being framed or crafted in that way. It does seem like everybody's pulling for them right now. And, yeah, just enjoy it for once. Because a lot of times, Florida State, we are a renegade program. No one likes seeing this team just pop up out of nowhere overnight, it's seemingly, in football with Bobby Bowden, although it took years, clearly, to get the thing rolling. But, yeah, for once, like, Florida State's going to think that's the good guy. I know we're always used to being the bad guy and things, everybody, but just embrace it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember Florida State ever being a sentimental favorite in anything. It's just not the nature of the program. I mean, all of it has to do with what the football team did to everyone in the late 80s and 90s. Their gruesome animosity because of knocking quarterbacks out of the game and sending them to the hospital and winning 70-0. Animosity grew around the country and certainly around the region because they were doing that to SEC teams too, as I pointed out a lot on this show. But yeah, this is the sentimental story, man. This guy, this team. It's more about Martin.
Clearly.
Obviously, casual sports fans don't understand the season that Florida State had because it's Florida State baseball. They're always good. Just like, throw out the LSU, Vanderbilt, whoever. They're always good. And people assume, they were always good this year. But to know it's his last season and this is his last chance, and they won that game, just adds to it. Yeah, it's a cool story. Again, I will say, and I continue to say, just him being out here is really neat that he gets to finish it out here. I mean, you watch that Vanderbilt team play. If Florida State was lucky enough to get to the finals and have to match up with that Vanderbilt team,
yeah,
I mean, all right, good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why not Florida State? I'm sure that's their mindset, and that would be their mindset. Why not us? And the park is the great equalizer. But still, they're definitely not the most talented team out here. We get that. The draft tells us that. They're just not. But they feel like they are, and heck, that's half the battle or most of the battle. And they feel like they're going to win every time they step on the field. And when was the last time a Florida State team felt like that in the postseason? Mendoza said it after the game, like, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what we're doing. It just feels, we're different.
Yeah.
When somebody asked him about the 20-year streak between winning first games, like, well, we're a different team. Whatever's happening to us, we're just going to keep riding it. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something to that effect. And so as long as they still play loose and have fun, and if they can win Monday night, if they can beat Michigan, and then they get 4 days off or whatever it is, good grief, I really might go to Mount Rushmore. You might be coming with me to Mount Rushmore if we got 3 days off, but if they don't play again until Friday. But if they were able to win Monday night and advance to the 2-0 portion of the bracket, essentially get to the Final Four, which is what they would be in, it's going to become the sentimental story of Omaha for sure. And I think you'll start. You didn't feel that in the stadium last night because there were so many Arkansas fans.
And Van Horn's a Nebraska guy too. So
there you go. Well, are they happy for him then, or mad at him?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like they'd want him back at their program. But anyway, I think the stadium will shift too. If they somehow got to the, I shouldn't say somehow, if they win 2 more games and get to the championship series, and they're playing, as long as it's not Mississippi State, I assume they'll travel well. But all the other schools on that bracket, I mean, I just feel like the stadium is going to be Mike Martin's. The people out here are going to be cheering for him. Every other baseball team is going to be cheering for him. I think most of them anyway. It would just be a really neat story, but they're not close to that yet. If they don't, like you said, if they don't beat Michigan, then they're in the same real spot that we thought they'd be in anyway.
Yeah,
playing on Wednesday for their lives with Connor Grady pitching. So
against either a good Texas Tech team or having to face Arkansas again. So it can quickly shifts. The rug can get pulled out from underneath you really quick in Omaha.
Yeah. So, but if they do win, again, that's a big if. Then all of a sudden, Florida State's in a spot. I don't think they've won their first 2 games out here in, I don't know, 86, 89. It's been even longer, obviously, than 99. It's just rarefied air for a Florida State program in general, and especially for him in his last season to be doing it would just be I do think, again, the stadium wasn't Florida State's stadium on Saturday night because of all the Arkansas fans and because it was game 1. I think if they can get closer and closer to this championship and it actually starts feeling like a reality or a possibility. Right now, it's still dangling out there a long way away. Mm-hmm. But if it gets closer and closer and they're actually playing for it, I think it'll be a really, really pro Florida State. Well, not even pro Florida State, pro Mike Martin crowd.
Absolutely. Yeah, 89, they beat North Carolina and Wichita State to start 2-0. I don't know if they did it between then and now, but I don't think so. I went back and looked at 99, they lost to Stanford, so I remember that.
Oh, there you go.
One thing I did want to ask you before we go, and it's to that point, Martin said on the podium after the game that, in the outfield, he did tell the team, either him or Meat, that was the first time the team had won the opener in Omaha since 1999, but was kind of quick to pivot and say, we still haven't accomplished anything. And you're talking about them not feeling themselves too much, as the kids would say. Did they practice on Sunday? Did you go out to practice? I probably shouldn't put you on the spot.
I was
like
there,
this.
buddy. I was there. Okay. Brady was actually out in the outfield a little bit, shagging fly balls and BP.
Nice.
He didn't do a lot of shagging. He kind of ran away from them because they were hit pretty hard.
Yeah, man. I did the same thing, Brady. It's all right, man. You're brave.
He shagged ground balls. He's trying to shag ground ball singles. They were loose, man. Same story. They were loose.
All right. That's the only thing.
Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, I just kind of feared that 11 knows. 11's putting on the brave face. It's about the kids. It's about the memories they're creating. But you could just you can see these thoughts are starting to kind of creep into his head, it feels like. Maybe I'm totally projecting, probably to a degree, but he kind of caught himself a few times in that press conference about, we haven't done anything yet. That things have yet to be decided. We have to go out there and keep playing hard. I just, the fact that it's been 20 years since they've gone out there and won the first game and everything that's surrounding, obviously, 11's last season, I hope they don't overlook Michigan, but I do think, and I take solace in what you said earlier in the show, that they can't. I mean, Florida State they haven't deserved the right to overlook any team, especially when you're at this point of the season out there in Omaha.
Absolutely right, my man. And it's funny, Martin saying that stuff, 11 saying the stuff about we haven't done anything yet. So often when he's out here, it's like, well, no duh, because you just lost. Like he's only been in this position a handful of times where they win the first game. So it's not familiar for him. It's certainly not familiar to that team. So
I think 6 times now. This is his 17th trip. I think that's the 6th time he's won his opening game.
Yeah, in the first in 20 years. So the first time in 5 trips or 6 trips, whatever it's been since they won it. And man, yeah, it's just new. It just feels different. The whole thing feels different. That I know I'm here through Wednesday. I never know that when I'm out here. They always play on Saturday night. They always lose the opener. And then they'd come back on Monday and win, and then you'd see where they'd go from there. But it's to know that we're going to be here through Wednesday at least, and to know that they're 1 win away from being here for a full week is just, again, not stuff that any of us that cover Florida State or if you cheer for Florida State, you're used to. Just an odd, remarkable season, remarkable way to finish up his career with this team doing this. All those great teams.
Yep.
they had so many that didn't even make it to Omaha. And then the ones that did would always get snake bitten somehow and find a way to lose the opener. And then this team of all teams wins a 1-0 game with the guy that scored the only run in the game also having to come in and close it 7 minutes later. I mean, it's just a crazy team.
It's
just
happening.
nuts.
It's all happening. Corey, thanks for being here, man. Shout out to Corey, everybody. This guy's cranking out really good content, filming videos. I don't even know why I'm going to be out there. I'm just going to hang out. I'm just going to hang out with Brady and live it up. Try to meet some.
Yeah, that's what you're here for, is basically to babysit Brady, or as I like to call it, you're going to Brady sit. And I wrote a Father's Day column for any War Chant subscribers about being out here with Brady, and also on Chip Baker, longtime Florida State assistant, now director of baseball operations. Sorry, he got to be out here with his daughter for the first time in 20 years. It's the first time he's been out here in 20 years.
What?
And he had his daughter. The last time they were there, they were out here together. She was like 4. And now she's, obviously
grown woman,
in her 20s.
Yeah.
So wrote about that. So read about that when you get a chance. Good stuff, sentimental stuff, Father's Day and all that stuff. Being out, it's a cool place for a father with their child to be out here in Omaha. So if you haven't done it yet and you're listening to this and you get the chance in the coming years, come do it. It's really neat.
Do it. It is awesome. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch up with y'all tomorrow.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.